This is it. Welcome back to part 3 of the Exchange 2016 series for installing Exchange 2016. In part 2 we looked at installing the prerequisites. .NET finished about 10-15 minutes later. It's on its installation and the server was rebooted. So now we are back after a clean reboot. And what we're going to do now is we're going to launch Exchange, set up for the first time, introducing it into this environment. So if you head over to the file, the CU file that you downloaded, and you double click on it, it will basically create like a virtual DVD-ROM for you. And then you launch the setup. Now we'll do both types of installations. In the next part we will do the unattended installation, where you run the installation from command line versus going through a graphical user interface. Right, so let's start. We're installing CU15. I've never seen this actually get updates, but you can leave it as default. It checks your server if you have enough space. As you can see, no updates found. Now what it does is it basically needs to copy from your DVD-ROM to the actual C drive. This copy can take a couple of minutes. All depends on how fast your servers are, how fast your storage is, and then you'll basically be going through the next set of windows to click next, accept the licensing terms, etc. And we'll have to, it'll do a prerequisite check before it actually starts the installation. Now you may have noticed that I haven't kicked off a setup /prepare AD. Microsoft tell you to do that, yes. We will do that in the next video. What I want to show you is in this video is when you kick it off, it actually prepares the organization for you. Now, why would you want to run prepare AD? So prepare AD goes and creates the security groups for Exchange in Active Directory. Whatever RBAC changes there will be featured or updated in your environment. Now, because we're not updating from earlier CU version, then the changes will be as is, and going forward whatever other changes are made in later CUs will then obviously update as you go along. Normally what I do is I do a schema update and prepare AD prior to this, but I wanted to show you that Exchange doesn't fail because you don't do a schema update. You need to do it, which we'll do in the next video. It's just some people find it daunting that they get stuck on those two commands and then they cannot proceed with the installation because they don't know how to proceed. It's pretty straightforward. So you can see the copy files is pretty much almost done, and then it'll run through a bar of checking, and then it'll bring us the option of where we can choose what we want to install. Now remember, in Exchange 2016, like 2013, there's only two roles: mailbox role and the edge transport role. There's no CAS role or hub transport role. All of those now are services, which you need to understand. So when you're setting up a server and you still want to isolate or separate the roles, you might have to build specific 2016 servers with no databases on as your front-facing hubs and CASs, and then you have your mailboxes at the end, the mailbox server role on the back end, so that these are not front-facing. Okay, so when introduction screen, click next. You accept the license terms. Recommend you to read it because you don't know what you're agreeing to here if you don't. Next. Okay, so when it comes to this part, I generally leave it as is. But if you want to not use recommended settings, then you can change and click next, right? So as mentioned, you can see there are only two roles, mailbox and edge. When you click on mailbox, it automatically selects the management tools for you and grays out edge because you can't run edge on a domain. Edge sits in your DMZ on the perimeter. It's isolated from your network that if it gets attacked, it doesn't touch your domain. Okay. Click next. The location, generally leave this as default. Now you normally need to build your servers big enough to cater for the log files on Exchange. I've seen occasions where guys have installed this on a D or E drive and they've run into niggly issues, and I'm not saying you cannot change the path, just be aware if you do change it that you just need to look out for, you might have an issue with transport, etc. Not saying you will. Click next. Right, because this is a new installation, it's a new domain, new forest, you need to specify the name of the organization. Now, it picks up the name of the organization. We're not going to be using split permissions, so we're not going to segregate. So leave it as is, click next. When it comes to malware protection, the default is not to disable it unless you've got some antivirus that does other malware kind of scanning, but generally leave this as is, click next. Now what this does is it does a prerequisite check. If there's anything missing or a reboot pending, it will come up here now as a problem. Now, what this is now telling us is that the setup will prepare the organization for Exchange 2016 using setup prepare 80. So there you can see it's going to run that command. What it's telling you is that you will not be able to install any legacy version of Exchange. And I'm referring to Exchange 2013 as legacy because once you install 2016, you can only go to 2019. You cannot go back to 2013. If you want 2013 in your environment, you have to first install a 2013 server, then bring in 2016, and then you can proceed. Right. Click next. So step 1 of 15 is your organization preparation. That's prepare 80. It's already running it for you. And what do I mean by that? So if we go to administrative tasks, Active Directory users and computers, you will see that OUB created with the Exchange security groups in it. It's not here yet, just give it some time. Right, so you'll see it's got 15 steps to complete. In the GUI installation, it doesn't tell you, like in the unattended installation, that it's going to do languages, the management tools, the mailbox role, unified messaging, client access, front transport service, etc. It goes through each and every single step. On the GUI now, the GUI personally feels longer to do installation because you next versus running a single command where you accepting the license terms, etc., and you let Exchange do its thing, the installation. Right, so as this is a small environment, replication, well, is pretty instant. I mean, there's only one domain controller, so the changes are immediate. So as you can see, like I keep saying, is based on your speed of your server is how long Exchange will take to install. Had a customer that had a server with was minimal RAM, minimal CPUs. And the upgrade to, at that point, was CU12. It took literally 4 hours to do the upgrade because the box just couldn't, keep up. The CPU and the RAM were maxing out completely with the installation. And so what I'm saying is you need to properly spec your servers. Now, this is a lab. You don't need to throw a resource at a lab because, all you're doing is testing, seeing what works before you go into a production environment. You don't break a production environment. Right. So we're almost done with Prepare 80. So as you can see, my security groups are now created. Now, in one of my previous videos where these groups are either missing or corrupt and cannot find it, you can run Prepare 80 again and it will go and recreate them. So as you can see, Prepare 80 created these groups now, which we didn't have, right? And if you go look at the organization management role, it's already added my account as an org admin to this. Okay, so you can see step 1 does your organization preparation. Step 2 does the stopping services, which is very quick. You don't actually see it. I've only captured step 2 now and again because it just moves the screens over too quickly. So what's going to happen now is going to copy the Exchange files. This generally sits here at 16% for quite a while before it actually moves along. So I'm not going to leave the video running for the next 2 or 3 hours because of how long it takes to copy, but you get the gist of it on how to actually install Exchange 2016 using the graphical user interface. In the next part, we will take a look at doing the installation using unattended as discussed, and you'll see the same things that we're seeing here, you'll be seeing there, except that the organization preparation shouldn't happen because the org has already been prepared. And then we'll do the schema update. Thank you so much for watching.